Hello everyone and welcome back to another segment of Smash Course U.S. History. I would just like to give a shout out to Mr. Ludka's class before we begin. Today we will be reviewing D-Day. So as everyone knows, D-Day took place on June 6, 1944, when the Allied troops invaded the 5 beaches of Normandy to get a foothold in the European theater. It was the largest amphibious invasion in history, with over 160,000 Allied troops, half of which were American, as well as 13,000 aircraft and 5,000 ships that supported the operation.
The invasion took multiple years to plan and was headed by General Dwight Eisenhower. Many troops needed to be thoroughly trained for this operation. One of the major rehearsals for D-Day, called Exercise Tiger, took place on an evacuated English beach called Slapton Sands. The rehearsal was a disaster due to German infiltration and bombardment of landing strips, killing 700 men. It was so horrific that some survivors say it was worse than the actual D-Day invasion.
The Allies did find some success in the future by using fake radio signals and inflatable tanks to throw the Germans off. However, the Allies had to strike fast to minimize the amount of German troops on the coast. Eisenhower originally wanted to attack on June 5th, but was delayed 24 hours by the weather. The conditions on June 6th were not much better, but Eisenhower knew they couldn't risk to wait any longer. They chose wisely, as the backup dates later in the month were very stormy.
The Germans predicted an Allied invasion somewhere on the French coast, which is why they heavily fortified the beaches in an attempt to halt the Allies, which is called the Atlantic Wall. The operation was overseen by German General Erwin Rommel, who with the help of over 1 million workers placed guns, mortars, obstacles, over 4 million landmines, and dug 2,400 miles of bunkers. General Rommel even wanted more defenses installed, knowing that a breach in the defenses would be fatal, but Hitler did not believe further implementations were necessary.
Early morning on June 6th, the Allied bombers flew over the beaches trying to destroy the German artillery, setting the stage for the invasion. Many roads and bridges leading to the coast were also bombed, so the Germans would have trouble sending reinforcements and would be unable to retreat. Along with the bombers, thousands of paratroopers were sent in to dismantle German artillery and take out as many soldiers before the bulk of the forces were sent in. The Allies stormed 5 French beaches, codenamed Utah, Omaha, Juno, Gold, and Sword. The United States focused on Omaha and Utah beaches, while the British and Canadians invaded Juno, Gold, and Sword. Utah was the easiest to take because of its physical distance from the fort, while Omaha was the toughest to take because of the mass amounts of German soldiers and defensive that were still intact after the bombings.
The Allied troops stormed the beaches and more than 4,000 of them lost their lives. By the end of the invasion, 160,000 Allied troops had survived. The beaches were secure and the Allies now had a foothold into Europe. With their position on the French beaches, the Allies could bring in more troops and equipment, giving them an upper hand. It was the advanced American weapons and technology that was key in taking down the Germans, but none of that would matter if the soldiers on the front lines hadn't been a part of the D-Day invasion.
The German General Rommel, who was right about the Allied success in Normandy, became very upset in the aftermath. Rommel was angry with Hitler for their unsuccessful defense and wound up in a movement trying to overthrow him. After the German defeat in the invasion, Hitler dodged any public backlash by accusing Rommel of treason and blaming him for the failure. The German government gave Rommel the choice of publicly going to trial or a cyanide pill. Rommel chose the pill.
D-Day as a whole was one of the most significant moments of World War II, as it established a presence in the European theater again and marked the beginning and the end of the Nazi Germany invasion. Germany now had to directly fight back the Allies on the west and the Red Army in the east, which eventually was their undoing.